Begin Self-Publishing, episode 149. The End for Ben.
Interested in self-publishing but don't know where to start? Want to get your book onto Amazon? Want to hold your paperback book in your hands? Learn how on the Begin Self-Publishing podcast with your host, Tim Lewis.
On this episode, I talk again to Ben Roberts, who has now completed his whole book writing journey. So this is his last episode on the podcast. Now, I want to apologise for the missed episode that I had in March. This was purely because I was waiting for a podcast edit to come back from somebody I'd outsourced the editing to, and it came back a day too late for me. So I had to just miss the show. But anyway, the show is carrying on. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do about next week's episode, which is episode 150. Got a few scheduling problems with people, so it may be one of my more reflective solo shows. So anyway, let's go over to the interview with Ben. Hello, Ben. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Tim. Thank you very much for having me on again.
Yes. And the more avid listener will realise that this is actually going to be your final show because you've now released your book and it's been out there for a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been out, maybe a month, just less than a month, maybe just over a month, some sort of month, maybe. God, time flies when you're having fun.
Well, exactly. So, the last time we talked to you I think it was about a week before the book was actually due to go live. Though I think you actually went live like 3 or 4. I think you might have gone live with the book actually before the show was aired, the last one.
Potentially maybe.
Yeah, so let's walk it through. Let's go back to those times in February or whenever it was. How did the launch process go? Did it go the way you expected it to? And was there anything that you learned during that process or anything that surprised you?
Yeah, I think it mostly went sort of how I wanted it to. I think there's a lot of things I want to refine for next time. I mean, I haven't really written down all my refinements yet because that was been on my extensive to-do list post the book, and there are things that I still want to do with it that I haven't had a chance yet. There are things that I didn't quite realise is almost like once you submit the book to Amazon, like actually like how long it takes for you to actually, for like the ebook pops up and then the paperback pops up. They pop up on different URLs and they get merged together. So little things like that. What else was there? When people order books, there's like no notification system.
Yeah.
So it's like you basically don't know until it's like shipped. So it's like you don't know if anyone's bought it yet. So it's like you're trying to do your launch. Going, I want to be excited. Oh, you have to wait a couple of days before you can get excited.
Well, I mean, you've got the KDP interface, haven't you? Like you know, there's sales on there. Admittedly, the paperbacks can be a bit slow to appear on there. But the ebooks are usually, I mean, they're not sort of real time, but usually can find out in a day or so. And the chart ranking is usually more or less up to date anyway. So how did the book do in terms of, I mean, I know you obviously ordered a lot of copies of the book yourself to sell and give away at Atomicon and various other conferences. But how have just general sales on Amazon gone with the book?
Yeah, I'd say probably around sort of what I'd hoped, potentially more, potentially less. To be honest, I really had no idea on what sales would be. For me, it wasn't about making this book 50 Shades of Ben. And for me, this is the first book, and I think this is going to be a launch pad for me. So I am not really watching the sales. I haven't looked at it for probably about two weeks now, maybe.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's about opening doors, new opportunities, meeting people. So for people who I'm trying to connect with, it's now using the book as an opportunity to open doors and connect with different people that potentially, rightly or wrongly, seemed out of reach before. So so for having a chat with someone, I've now been able to get one of the senior managers at HubSpot has agreed to come on the podcast. But we did a book swap, and that book swap has led to a podcast swap, which is things like that, which are really cool doors to open up. So in terms of sales, I had no idea whether I've done good or bad or indifferent, but I know I ordered a lot of books, so like you said, I gave away a lot. I didn't give away. I sold a fair bit. I gave away once to the people who'd done the crowdfunding. So that was already like 40 books I distributed without using Amazon. 40, 50 books. So it's quite a lot of books.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose a fundamental question is, now that you've done this whole book creation process, do you feel that it was worth your time doing this process?
Oh, absolutely. No, even if again, this was, I think I had the right, for me, I had the right intention. I wasn't going in there to go, oh, this is going to make loads of money, it's going to do this and that. I had my expectations. I was doing it more for me. It was more for me, and it's satisfying what I need. Now I still need to do things like the audiobook. I still have these things to do, which is frustrating because I've got so much on in work. And again, where I have the difficulty is my all this stuff I have to do outside and around all my work and hockey commitments and other things. So it's trying to get the balance right between all this stuff is damn hard. So that's the bit trying to work out at the moment so I wish I'm pretty happy. I mean, I wouldn't change it, but it's like, I wish I could have done a little bit more.
Okay, so from when you started the crowdfunding process to when you published, how long was that?
Oh, must have been 7.5 months, maybe. I think for me that 7.5 months of actually planning the book and writing it, but that's a year. It's a year and a half, really, when you think about it, because the ideas all started coming together, and it's basically the podcast. Where it started with the podcast, and that's almost like a year and a half's worth of research for it to get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took probably 6-7 months to write in total and get 6 months from crowdfund to publish, I reckon. So I think I must have done my crowdfunding in July or August. I think it was August I did my crowdfunding, and then obviously published it in March.
Okay. So what would you say is the thing that most surprised you about the whole book writing process?
Ooh, surprised me. Ooh, that's quite a tough one. I think the thing that surprised me the most is actually how efficient I can be.
Yeah.
When you allocate time and you actually dedicate yourself to giving time, it's actually amazing how much you can get done. I like to be a pretty organized person. I pride myself on being able to do lots of stuff, and I have a mentor that helps me be able to make sure that I can get everything done and understand why I do everything and how long things are really going to take me, and help me sort of manage myself. And for me, that was awesome. That just really helped me understand, actually, look, when you put the time in, how much you can really do. And that was a really nice surprise for me, I think.
Yeah, well, that's...
And because I was never a writer, actually. And that's probably an even bigger surprise is I loved stories when I was a kid. Loved them. I loved reading. I loved trying to write. I tried to write a couple of stories, and I always gave up really quickly. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the mental capacity. English in school, I was a C student. I wasn't an A student. I enjoyed writing. I quite liked coming up with stories, but the way I actually wrote them wasn't necessarily in a way that the examiners liked. But when people read them, said it's really good story, but for what an English exam would need, it hasn't got that. So it was surprising for me to be able to know that I could, one, write a book and complete it, two, that people have actually enjoyed it. That's really nice. And and it's just nice to have something that I never really thought I'd actually do, to be able to just go and just do it.
Yeah, I think the whole you have to be a writer to write a book thing is a bit of a misnomer, because certainly self-publishing, but even in traditional publishing, there's an awful lot of work that is done by other people, either editors, or a lot of it is the organisation of the book as much as the writing. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, like how much difference an editor can make in terms of a book.
Incredible.
For people who writing skills are not necessarily good, but also just from an organisational point of view. So yeah, I mean, I don't think being a poor writer necessarily stops anybody from writing a book, but they have to be mindful that they need the help.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not a poor writer. I mean, no. I've written, I can write pretty well, but I guess it was when you're in school and stuff, if you didn't write a very particular way,
yeah,
it was things. So you didn't use, I don't know, well, I'm going to use some English words that I don't really know, like palindromes and stuff. Like, these are words I hear people talking about, and it's like stuff like that. I still don't know what a palindrome is, but it's like you had to use them in schools, and that was basically, it wasn't about actually how good your story was or how well you could write. It's how well you could put X number of elements into 2 hours of writing.
Yeah, well, the problem at school is that you can't have somebody else edit you can if you've got very rich parents, but you can't have somebody else edit your story for grammatical and other flourishes like you could if you were when you were a self-publisher or being traditionally published. So yeah, I mean, it's a team effort, a book. Because as you say, like in your most professional people, the people who've got like some kind of like online or other job, we are writing all the time. We're writing blog posts, we're writing tweets, we're writing Facebook posts, we're writing. It's not like we haven't got experience of writing and communicating things. It's just we haven't necessarily got it on this grand scale that you need for a longer form work, such as a book. So I think it's that we all kind of think, well, at school where we were being tested on our ability really to be editors as much as anything on the technical aspects. The fact that you're not technically good at like knowing what every word means in the English language or how to construct things, that's where the help comes in, and that's what pushes a book ahead. And I've got your book in front of me at the moment, actually, and it's very well formatted and presented. So should be proud of that, at least.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that was part of your advice in using vellum.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. No, that was a really, really nice tool and stuff like that. It was really nice for me to be able to say almost like, yes, you had never had the best grade in English. And it was just a subject I just struggled with, and just being able to get it how people want it to. And it just doesn't matter if you've got a story, a good story to tell, a good narrative. You know you are. And I guess since school, I've actually done a lot more writing in terms of so many blogs, and it's an area that I know really well. So when you write about something you know well, it's much, much easier. And hopefully as well that I really like the fact that I could put a lot of me into that book. So like the way it's written, like you go, yeah, that's Ben. And that's what I hope people get from it.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, another thing I was saying, who was I saying it to? Somebody I was saying, like, only about 5% of people, I reckon, actively do things. There's a lot of people who will say they'll do stuff, and I'm myself in that category a lot of the time. But the fact that you have actually gone through and completed a book shows in itself something in terms of, like, to people, as you say, like, there's a whole load of people who say they're always going to write a book, but they never get round to it. The fact that you've written a book and it's a physical thing that you can give to people has a certain amount of cachet in itself, and just from that, yeah, again, you should be proud of what you've done.
Oh, absolutely. It's for me, it's just a nice achievement to have something as well physical and tangible to be able to have for your award, because it's really nice to write blog posts and tweets that like someone goes viral or it something just goes really well, but actually having something tangible that you can literally go, you know what? It's almost like when people have their PhD. People don't carry around their PhD and don't hand it out to people, but you know you've got something physical to show from it. And this is something I've got physical that I'm really proud of, that I can happily hand someone and go, this is me. And it's really nice. I'm so happy with like everything on how it looks, how it feels. I'm so happy that I paid someone to really design it, and like she was awesome. She'd never designed a book before, but like I gave her sort of an outline, and we went through a couple of drafts, and like I was just so happy with how the cover particularly comes out. I think just it really helps the book stand out.
Yeah, that's good. So I suppose the next question, and I think you've hinted that this might happen, but are you going to write any more books?
Ooh, yes, I will do. I did, because I enjoyed it so much, and I want to. I don't know what yet, and I'm not worrying about that yet. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I've got a couple of ideas actually that are buzzing around my head, but it won't be I won't even start it for a year and a half, because I want to make sure that I spend enough time speaking and understanding what I'm getting myself into there. And also it depends on things like family and stuff. Again, I'm 26, things like that are going to come up, so I've got to try and balance these lives. And this is why I've tried to do a lot of this stuff now, because there's never a right time, but I knew that now would be more of a right time than trying to do it when you've got a 3-year-old kid running around.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did. There is definitely another book. There's definitely at least another book in me. I've got some good ideas. I just need to. I don't want to be that person that puts out a book every 2 years or something. But I have really enjoyed it.
So presumably it's going to be another non-fiction book. You're not going to write that story that you.
No, I don't know. I really do. I'm not a big reader, but yeah. I tell you, when I get into a fiction book, if I get the right fiction book, I'm glued, and it's really hard to sort of get anything else from it. Which is why actually part of the reason I don't read very often anymore, because I'm usually so busy doing other things. I know if I start reading a book that I really enjoy, I'm like, I won't put it down.
Yeah.
Especially because novels and fiction books are generally a lot longer. So yes, I am more likely to write a non-fiction book, but it's not completely out of the question. And I like to challenge and push myself. I don't want to be one of those people. You know me well enough by now, Tim. If I decide that I want to do something, I'll go out there and I'll make it happen. Yes, I'll probably make some mistakes on the way, but I also have to make sure that I don't stretch myself too thin. So when I decide in my head, like, yes, I'm going to write another book, it will happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll put money that you write another book. So we've talked about like the launch process, and we talked about what you're going to do next. Would you say this is going to be a little bit sort of personal, and you can say it's a waste of time if you like. How have you found being on this podcast has helped you in terms of writing the book?
Oh, not at all, Tim. It's been a complete waste of my time. No. For me, it was really helpful to always have that sounding board and to be able to get the advice of actually using the tools like Vellum, to be able to understand how the Amazon KDP process worked in order to clarify and just make sure that I'm on the right path. Yeah, and it's always nice to have a sounding board and sort of a way to. I guess it's almost like having a counsellor or a mentor, Tim, but without the counselling, without like the regular mentorship. It's almost just like that, having that person you could speak to where you set these rough goals, and it's like, okay, you're at this stage now, so what have you learned there? What are you looking at in the next stage? And it helps sort of keep you on track, and it helps. Yeah, I felt bad when I said that the book was going to be delayed by 2 weeks, and you had a go at me, and I was like, but that sort of stuff though, it's really invaluable, really, and that is what I've really enjoyed.
Okay, so I suppose did we do this at the beginning? But what I used to do on this podcast when I was interviewing people on like one-off shows was I always at the end ask people how they could find out about what the person does. Have we ever actually talked about obviously we talked about your book, but what else have you got? I know you've got podcasts, clearly, which are very similar, but this is your 5 minutes to promote yourself and say how people can find out about you, your book, and everything you want to push.
Wow. Okay. You're putting pressure on now. So obviously I'm host of the Marketing Buzzword podcast, and obviously published this book. Marketing Buzzword to Marketing Authority, which spins off the podcast. During the day, I'm head of marketing at a tech company. We're in South Wales, in the sunny UK. And where we built software that allows people to, basically it's website communication software that allows live web chat, voice calls, video calls, and co-browsing embedded into a website, which basically means that instead of people having to pick up phones and call people, they can actually chat with people online, click call, and actually call through someone. Basically, it's like Skype embedded into your website, but you don't need to download anything. There's no plugins or anything. It's basically in that chat functionality on the website. And that works obviously mobile and desktop, and it's really, really cool. And it's growing like crazy at the moment, which is awesome. But obviously, it's trying to balance up that what I'm doing with the podcast and the book, which is allowing me to do a lot more speaking opportunities as well. So I've got we're in April now. I've got another 4 lined up for this year. I've done 3 or 4 this year already as well. So it's it's opening up a huge number of doors for me. So that's what I do. Head of marketing at Talkative, host a marketing podcast, written a marketing book, and speak at conferences about marketing stuff. And you can find me at marketingbuzzword.com. That's the website where the podcast, the speaking, the book is. LinkedIn. If you search for me at Ben M. Roberts, because there are literally too many Ben Robertses in the world. Yeah, so but Ben Roberts, you don't find me. Ben M. Roberts, I've nailed the SEO on that. Page 1 of Google is mine. So Ben M. Roberts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, probably Pinterest, probably. I don't know. I've joined this TikTok thing now as well, but
I've not yet gone into the TikTok world. No.
I have not posted on it yet. My girlfriend hates me for looking at it because I find it really funny. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I hope. I think that's a less than 5-minute nutshell.
Okay, well that was good. So,
my cat just clawed my finger.
Ooh. Are we going to have a live show injury when you have to be rushed off? And
No. I think you're just saying hi. God, cats.
Well, on that note, I will say thank you so much for appearing on the podcast, and good luck in the future. And go check him out, all listeners. Go and check out his website and listen to his podcast.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please stop by iTunes and rate and leave a review. This helps make the show more visible. For free resources, show notes, and other helpful content, join the community at beginselfpublishing.com.